Hey guys, welcome back to Cinema Sit Down. I'm your host Natalie, and today we're going to be talking about The Truman Show, a 1998 film, and we're joined with...
I'm Icarus.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Nolan.
And I'm Noah.
Alright, and we're going to be talking about this in a few seconds. Let's go, roll the intro. Okay, so The Truman Show, first initial thoughts. Has anyone ever watched this movie before?
I've seen it before.
A couple times.
Couple times?
I've never seen it.
Oh wow, this is right down the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so initial thoughts. Are we Jim Carrey fans out here?
Kinda. I like him much more in dramatic roles like this than I do in comedic roles. Because I know he's had like a ton of super iconic comedy roles with like The Grinch and Dumb and Dumber and movies like that. But then he's also in movies like this and Eternal Sunshine on the Spotless Mind, where he's just amazing. Like, he is fantastic in these movies. And I don't know, I think a lot of people know Jim Carrey as this comedian, and he is super funny, but to me, this is where he really shines.
I'll give him that. Yeah, this is definitely like top 5 Jim Carrey roles. Up there like The Mask. And then Dumb and Dumber probably wasn't really good. It was just kind of dumb, but pretty good. Yeah, I definitely put it top 5 Jim Carrey roles. And I don't know, yeah, I like when Jim Carrey can like actually try and be serious sometimes too. Like when he was actually figuring stuff out, like he actually is like a good actor more than a comedian.
Agree.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way. I feel like this movie shows his acting skills better. Mainly, and part of that is just like I'm not a super big comedy person. I'm very hard to entertain. So I don't know, but I thought this was good. I thought he was good in this. Yeah.
Were you entertained?
Yeah, I mean, I was entertained.
Yeah, I like Jim Carrey as an actor. I love his commitment to the comedy. Like, he's not afraid to go over the top, but I also think that this was one of his best roles because he's so serious. And then when he does kind of step into those comedic bounds, that it puts it off a little bit, and it's a little shocking that it works really well.
Yeah, it's like bordering kind of comedy with drama. Like, it's not completely drama, but it's not completely comedy either. And I feel like that's a good kind of alleyway for him to reside in.
I agree 100%. So the plot of this film is like this guy was adopted by a corporation and they built this whole big studio for him, and he's being filmed his whole life. When you guys first saw that, how was like that initial reaction? Were you guys like, in the very beginning where you're like, oh, this is sus, or was it like, let's see what's going on?
It was terrifying. I said that I said this before the show too, but I said that I had seen this movie a couple times. One of them was when I was about like 8 or 9 years old. And my dad showed me this movie because my dad likes the movie, and so do I now. But back then, I watched it and I was like, oh my god. This is happening to me right now. And it freaked me out for like years. So I just wasn't allowed to watch it until like, I don't know, until they forgot. And I just watched it again. But it's a terrifying concept. Like, really just horrifying stuff. Because you would never know unless a light fell out of the sky, I guess. But yeah.
I wonder if that light never fell out of the sky, would he ever started that chain reaction of figuring it out?
If he never saw his dad, would we have started this chain reaction?
Yeah,
I guess it was his dad, not the light.
Yeah, his dad.
But that line was weird, and it's crazy that he didn't second guess it. He was just, you know, because it's like
just kind of
his everyday life.
picked it up and like looked at it and then kept going.
Yeah.
Okay.
The light, I think, is really cool because it has the tape on the back that says like serious and then some number and whatever, but that's like the name of a star. So it just shows the scale of what they're doing, where it's like every star in the sky is just a spotlight, which is crazy and super cool, but that's never, like, I just like space, so I just thought it was cool.
The scene for me where I was like, yo, this film is crazy, is when he was trying to go through to the boat for the very first time, and we see them like kind of tap into that trauma that he has for like crossing the ocean, and I was just like, this is so insane, because they are all fully aware that this kid is like traumatized by the water, and like he feels like he's blamed for his dad's death or whatever, and they're just recording it, and it's like, oh, this is film though, like let's do it for the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to give him a nice dose of trauma, losing his whole dad. It's like, okay, hold on now. you gotta feel bad, kind of putting him through that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and then like everyone around the world is like aware of it.
Oh yeah, they love a nice little dose of trauma. Clearly.
I like how the only shots we see outside of like the show are when people are reacting to it. And there's a scene in the bar towards the end where he's making his escape, and one of the bartenders says like, "Oh, I got 2-1 that he doesn't make it."
They put some money on it.
And he puts money on it, and even though he's about to lose a ton of money, he's just really happy that Truman escapes, because he would have lost a lot, because spoiler, he made it. But even though he has his own stakes, it seems like the people around the world rally to loving Truman, and I think that that's really sweet. Yeah, I don't know any other way to describe it. I just like that aspect of it.
What do you think life is like for Truman after he got out? Like, do you think a bunch of people were just like, oh, you Truman, we're gonna show you the real world?
He's not gonna live a normal life.
Well, definitely old girl went and met with him.
Sylvia?
Yeah, Sylvia, she definitely went and met with him. But I wonder what his life is like.
No, I'm surprised she wasn't like outside the freaking studio waiting for him. When I would have been watching that shit on my phone, live TV. Like,
Surprised like they didn't have like human rights activists like always trying to break into their stuff.
Right, like it was just her. I'm like, that seems,
she's the
I
only
feel like more
person?
people would be against this realistically.
She's the only one with a real heart.
they mentioned that like people had tried before to like
I
tell
guess
him.
the guy
Got on the
that like
parachute.
came down
That
with
one was
the
crazy.
sign on.
She had posters and stuff in her room from like rallies and stuff. So I think maybe there was some, like a small effort. It's probably nothing big, but
They care more about animals in real life than they do about trying to save Jim Carrey.
I mean, anything for entertainment, right? I mean, it's also like, it is kind of a funny movie, but I mean, if you want to think really deeply about it, you could be like, oh, this is a commentary about society that we live in right now. Like, prioritizing entertainment over like news and actual events. But that's a whole sub-conversation, I guess.
That was deep though. That was right though.
I think they were onto something with that though, for sure. And then like when they kept doing the ads for things, like the first ad that I noticed is when the two I don't know, businessmen like pushed him up to the wall. And I was like, bro, you are clearly doing this for the shot. And I was just like, what?
He gotta know something going on with that. Like,
that's when I thought he started noticing that things were different. Like the second time they did that and they pushed him to the wall, I was like, I think you know.
He was walking to work and was like, hey, let me talk to you for a second. I'm like, man, if you don't get
right? Like that was just, that's just weird in general.
Twins too, twin old men. Just, hey, can I talk to you for a second? Like, no, you cannot.
I think they probably had twins on purpose to offset the shock of like, why is this random guy touching me? Because then it's like, oh, 2 random guys touching me and they look the same. This is, I guess, cooler than the alternative. Still weird though.
Knowing Truman, he don't know no better. He's just like, okay, this is life.
Yeah, I mean, they have like cultivated this perception of the world for him, which is so like unnerving. Like it's all just a little unsettling.
Right.
And not even necessarily just in the cameras, because like nowadays I feel like we're always like we're on camera, but even like outside of this situation, like I feel like there's chances of you being on camera at all times, but like just the fact that they've created this reality that he lives in, like that is just so creepy to me. It's not a horror movie, but it is like in a weird way.
Yeah.
It was to me.
Yeah, like
it was a horror movie. That was awful.
It's like Human Centipede.
Maybe not.
But yeah, it's pretty much that. I like the scene from like outer space when they're showing how big it was in America. It's like it's the only other structure seen from space. I'm just like, okay,
it was like right behind the Hollywood sign, and I was like, this is so funny to me. Like if this is like a fake world, so what else was I gonna say?
How much money does one show make?
Exactly. Like how do they fund that? And
they
say it's from the ads, but I feel like how did they make that much from
that's like such a, how do you like, it's like crazy to me to think about it, like if this was real, like someone proposed this idea and they were like, yeah, let's build a big ass coliseum for this show that we don't know if it's gonna do good or not. Like just thinking about how much money would have actually gone into this is insane.
Somebody dropped that idea and they loved it. They was like, I got an idea, and they was like, love it.
Yeah, someone proposed this idea.
Oh yeah.
And the whole network was like, we'll broadcast.
This is like such a DMP movie though. Like this obviously makes sense. Someone's like, bro, let's just buy out a whole thing and just mess with someone's life. When you guys first met Christoph, was it like, whoa?
I actually thought.
Initial thoughts?
I actually thought he was kind of cool. I was like, hold on. I thought he was like wow, the dedication to this art is really cool. And then I remembered like, oh, he's been doing this for 30 years. This is messed up.
He was willing to kill him versus letting him go.
Right.
I think he might be one of my favorite movie villains of all time, but I don't think that you would even really think about him as a villain at first, and that's why I like him so much, is just because he's just some artist. And I think it's the relatability of all of us being able to be like, oh my god, that's a switcher, they're taking cams and stuff like that, we do that. So it was really cool to see that, but like of course he's a creep. But then there were some times where he was saying things, and I was like, that's really interesting. But I'm gonna do that in like a way that doesn't totally screw a guy over.
In a way that's ethical, maybe.
Yeah.
No, he's morally gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I was just so distraught by that man. And the characters that hurt me the most were like the best friend, when we see that scene where he's like, oh, what is going on with life? Like, someone's after me. And then he's like, no, man, I would have to be on it in on it too.
I would never lie to you.
And you are.
Literally just want to reach through the screen and just.
I would never
that
lie
hurt
to
him
you.
too, because he was like, I would never lie to you.
Marlon.
I'll never lie to you.
He did not want to do that.
Yeah, he was feeling it eventually.
You think he didn't want to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think like he zoomed in on his face and he like hesitated a lot because he got fed the line, and then there was like, it's probably not actually 10 seconds, but just because it was so tense, it felt like it was like 10 seconds of him just like, I would never.
His morals and ethics kicked in for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like morals were like questioned a lot in this film because like all the actors are in on it, so they have to feel like they're doing something good for the show, and like the whole meaning of the show is like to provide like inspiration and like happiness and just go happy, friendly vibes. So all the actors were like, oh, I'm doing something good. Yeah. But you're really not.
Do you think any of them, like, as they watched him grow up, they like got to know him and then felt bad about what they were doing? Or do you think they were like, oh, it's for the job, it's for the job? Or do you think they were like, oh, this is like a nice dude, like maybe we shouldn't do that?
Yeah, like Marlon,
I don't know.
Like, what do you think?
If he's his best friend, you don't hang out with a dude every day from the time that you're like 10 to being 30, graduating college, getting married, all this stuff. You don't go through all that and not like actually like the guy.
What if the paycheck is so big though?
$100,000 a day.
Like,
but they said in the beginning of the
$100,000
film that
a
nothing
day?
was fake. It's just
Every
controlled.
episode.
So I think he did care for him.
That's true.
Or they just have like crazy Stockholm syndrome, which is
and also
probably
like they
more
said
likely.
it wasn't fake, but it's like, do we trust that it was all like? I don't know. I just think about the scene where they're all like trying to hunt him down, and like his best friend was like kind of leading that group, and so that's why I'm like a little skeptical that he actually cared about him. But maybe it is like maybe it's not quite as simple as just a black or white kind of. Like maybe he did a little bit, but he's also he's been doing this for many years, so maybe he's just kind of
Because he would have had to grow up there too, right? Unless they like switch actors. Because they did mention there was a time where he was gone for when he got pneumonia. He was gone for like a whole month. So I thought like maybe they switched it out then or something. I was probably just reading way too far into it, but
You're right though.
I don't know. It feels like because if he was a kid, number one, he's maybe just as much of a victim. Maybe not just as much of a victim, but definitely also a victim. Like Truman is, because he got put in there. If he's like 10 years old, having to be forced to be this dude's best friend on live television for 10 years or 20 years after this, that he can't give consent to that. He's 10 years old. So he's. I think everyone there is probably a victim too, and they just don't know it. What they do, and they're getting paid $100,000 a day, like you said.
They just don't think about it enough. They're like, look, you're just gonna come in, act. We got Truman, and then shoot, you're gonna get paid. And people are just like, yeah, sign me up. And then they never thought of it. Remember when he hopped on the bus and that little girl was like, oh, isn't that Truman? He was like, shh, be quiet. You know what I'm saying? The little girl was gonna mess up the paycheck. So you know what I'm saying? Shoot, even if the kids gotta be in on it.
Going back to the talking about that scene, the bus driver, and then when they had to drive the boat, do you guys think that the bus driver like actually knew how to drive the boat but was like rooting for Truman, or do we think that he actually just didn't know how to drive the boat?
Maybe. Because he definitely, on the bus, he was like, sorry, man.
He definitely finessed with it,
Yeah, he was like, I'm sorry, man. He wasn't able to say anything else, but it felt like a heartfelt apology to Truman. So maybe.
Like, I can't even go out there, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, because it was kind of like the same noise, so I was like, did you just mess with it?
Like, oh, it's broken.
And then he was on the boat, and they were like, "Oh, it's not working." He's like, "I only know how to drive a bus." Like I don't. But then we didn't see him drive the bus. So does he? Yeah.
He doesn't know how to drive anything.
He's just there.
Yeah, literally.
Okay.
He's just an actor.
Going back to the conversation of what it would look like for Truman's life, like outside of the place, I could imagine his stress issues would just be through the roof. Like it would be like the
Yeah.
same.
Oh, yeah. Years of therapy. That's like step one.
And even then, like,
You don't.
that's still.
Yeah, how do you
Sorry,
overcome
yeah.
that?
Even like if they were like, oh well, we're gonna get you therapy. Like, there's no way you're gonna be able.
Yeah.
Like, he would never
Yeah.
trust anybody again.
Because it's your entire worldview is
Yeah.
gone. You can't get a job. You can't have friends.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after Marlon, like, this dude's your friend for your entire life, and then I would never be able to trust a person again.
My mom is actually fake. She's not even my
Oh, for
mom.
real.
Right?
That's
like
the most
that
messed
is
up
so.
I did not realize you were talking in character there for a second.
Talking about
was so
the
confusing.
We are not in the Truman Show. We are not.
Yeah, this
How
is
do you
all
know?
fake. It's a set.
Yeah, he's freaking.
Don't mess with me like
Well, this
that.
is a set, but not that kind of set. This.
He gonna get out in the real world and have to pay taxes, and he gonna be like,
Yeah, like imagine.
"The government."
He's gonna want to go back.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, whoa,
like
whoa, whoa.
live in the real world. He's like, wait a minute, maybe
The
they were
ferry
onto
ticket
something.
was $1, and he didn't even end up going. But it was for a round trip. He gave him $1. That's awesome.
He was
Real.
living in the best economy he ever could have found.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it wasn't like a horrible ethical nightmare, I would
Yeah.
kind of want to live there.
Right?
I would want to
true.
be a Sea Haven background character.
I wouldn't mind it. You only got to go out, do the same thing just about every day. You might not even have to talk to him.
Yeah.
And
Did you guys think we were gonna lose him when he went on that boat and we had that long journey?
No.
No.
The figurehead was an eagle.
His figurehead was
The,
an
yeah,
eagle.
the figurehead, the statue thing on the
Oh,
front
on
of a
the boat?
ship, it was an eagle. And that's like a symbol of freedom. So I just knew he was gonna make it because
so he had
Symbolism.
it was the first thing to come out of the water when the boat capsized and came back up. It was the eagle. It was moving forward.
And then it like stabbed
Wow.
through the wall.
Yeah. So
Freedom.
to be free.
Let's
Eagle
go.
got
There it
free.
is.
That's pretty good.
Did you think we were gonna lose him?
No, just kind of how like movies go. I didn't think we
Yeah.
would. But
Movie
there
knowledge.
was a little part of me that was like,
Um,
I don't know, this movie's pretty wacko, maybe.
Good. Yeah. But
Did you guys have a favorite scene? Anyone?
When he was in the car with his wife,
Literally.
and
was pretty good.
he wouldn't let her out. That was just real good acting on his part, because he was like kind of like going crazy, but he was like showing like something's really going on here, but he was being funny at the same time. I don't know. That was like 10 layers of acting in one thing.
Agree.
the very end has to be my favorite scene. Because number one is just gorgeous. I can't imagine being that guy who's like, I'm gonna make a sitcom, and then he just gets the most beautiful camera shot ever of where it's the wall or the hole in the wall. Gorgeous. So that one's my favorite.
I think the scene, my favorite, it's the one that got me the most, is when it was close to the beginning when I think he has the sweater of the girl that was talking to him, and then it cut to the two girls in the bar, and then they were like, watching the TV, and that's when I was like, oh, this is what we're watching. Like, I had no clue what was going on until then, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
I also kind of liked the scene with the sweater because I felt like that gave a lot of context for his character and like why he wanted to escape, I guess.
Yeah, my favorite scene is this one's crazy, but when he like stuck the knife to his wife, and then she was like, do something, and then she like switches back to character after that. Yeah.
Also, when she's like doing the ad for the like hot chocolate,
Bro, I
that
hated
one is.
that.
Oh my gosh, that was the worst ad.
But
That was the worst one.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're not even trying. Of course he gonna figure
Literally.
out. Okay.
but final thoughts, 1 through 10 movie.
I would say like a 7.5. I think.
Okay.
Not my favorite movie ever, but it was solid. I think it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I would do the same, 7.5. The idea is clever, and I liked
Yeah.
it.
I'm gonna say mine is an 8. I think this is an 8 out of 10.
I don't want to be dramatic, but 10.
Yeah.
10.
That's fair.
I was gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Whoa.
I think the idea and stuff, I think
Escalating.
is really good.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So that was it for today's Cinema Sit Down. We're gonna wrap it up, and if we don't see you,
Good
good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Night.